So, shall we start the session, sir?
Certainly, Shiva, you are the boss.
Good afternoon to you all. So, warm welcome you all to the today's session. So, nice to see you all again. So, today some of the new persons sitting here. So, this is Radhalakshmi. She is our new ECHO coordinator, and this is Ayana. This is the here we have a 6 weeks certificate course for doctors and nurses is going on. This is Ayana. She is a nurse, and Dr. Patmini. She is a palliative physician. He is Dr. Rajendra Prasad. He is also a palliative physician. She is Lindu. She is a nurse, and she is Dr. Manali from Gujarat. She is doing the 6 week certificate course in palliative medicine here, and this is Sister Bridget. She is from Assam. She is also a nurse. So today's session is on opioid availability. So sir is with us. Today's session is also handled by Dr. M. R. Rajagopal. I invite him to take over the session. Sir, please.
Thank you, Shiva. So, hello once again, everybody. I want to start with a question to you. Shiva and Radhalakshmi, account. How many of you have access to oral morphine in your institution? Shiva, okay, you can see everybody on the screen, right?
Yes.
So everybody who has access to oral morphine, please raise your hand.
Dr. Mary.
Huh?
Dr. Mary.
Only one.
Yes.
Okay. How about injection morphine? Anybody?
Dr. Mary.
Okay. Dr. Mary is from which place?
Delhi.
Which institution?
Sir.
Oh, our Mary Abraham.
Abraham, madam.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Mary, apologies. I thought you were from one of the CHAI sites. Long time, Mary. Hello.
Yes.
Can you give me the presentation, please? The next one, Shiva. Now, for all the participants from the Catholic hospitals here present today, the situation is what was my situation 25 years back when I started palliative. You and I at that time and you now are part of a medical practice which United Nations considers offering cruel, inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment. In their terminology, this is next to torture. Torture is willful infliction of suffering. Here, the only difference is you don't have an intention to cause suffering, but we all, that is 98% of the people in India, if they get a seriously painful condition, are subjected to denial of adequate pain relief, and that, according to the United Nations, amounts to cruel, inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment. Shiva, next one, please. Now, we are one member country of United Nations, and United Nations treaties declare that all member countries are obliged to take steps to ensure that patients have access to palliative care and pain treatment. Tomorrow, when I get an illness, I don't know where it will be. I could come to you for treatment because I have seen your smiles. I know you, so I know that I can get compassionate care from you. But I also believe that I have a right to receive pain relief if I need it. And I also know, and you know, that roughly two-thirds of all cancer pains and many non-cancer pains, roughly two-thirds of cancer pains cannot get pain relief without step 3 of the ladder. And the cheapest and most easily accessible drug of the step 3 of the ladder is morphine. Are you all with me so far? Shiva, for some reason, I am very glad to see Mary's face anytime, but right at the moment I am seeing only Mary. Can I see the more of the participants' faces? Shiva, Vishnu, somebody? Am I doing something wrong?
This is gallery view. Sir, gallery we
Ah,
will.
okay, gallery view. Okay, got it.
Okay.
So, so to all participant doctors, do you have any problem accepting anything that I said so far? That there is an international view that denial of pain relief amounts to cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment. That without step 3 of the ladder, effective pain management cannot be given to two-thirds all people with cancer pains, and therefore, in our country, we are denying that basic care to 98% of our people, and that you and I have a responsibility to change that. I'm looking for some reactions on the audience's faces. Any disagreement? Anybody? Any disagreement? Or not necessarily disagreement, that's not a very nice word. Just say, if you have a comment on it, please make that comment. Even agreement, some reaction. Do you agree?
Yes, sir, we agree with you, sir. Many times we wanted to give some painkillers, it is not available. Not
Okay. Now, no, the problem is the person in pain cannot create an agitation and come with placards to you fighting for pain relief. They are too weak. So the only people who will ask for them, who will argue for them, would be you and I, because we realize the importance. Shiva, next slide, please. So this comes from an article from Reverend John Lund. Reverend Lund is a chaplain. He is quoting a patient's bill of rights, which was created in USA. Sorry. He says, it says, I have the patient, any patient, that's me, tomorrow when I am your patient. I have the right to be as pain-free as possible. I have the right to participate in decisions concerning my care. And I have the right to expect continuing medical and nursing attention, even though cure goals may be changed to comfort goals. Okay, so that patient's bill of rights includes the right to be pain-free. So this is not the law, I agree. But the previous two things are declarations of international United Nations body of which we are a party. Okay, Shiva, next. I hope you accept my right to be as pain-free as possible if I need it. But as doctors and nurses, we must also accept another responsibility. Shiva, I'm trying to speak a bit softer because of my throat. You must tell me if I am inaudible. So we have a dual responsibility. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. That is, while I said that we have a duty to make opioid available, we also have a responsibility to prevent abuse of opioids. So the doctor's responsibility, very often, as the way we were taught, is to see the patient, write the prescription. But here I am saying that we also need to accept the responsibility to be the patient's advocate, make sure that the hospital procures the medicine, and then, just as I don't want to be in pain when my time comes, I also do not want my grandchildren to become addicts. That's also an important responsibility. So we will try to establish a system in the hospital where it can be used safely, not only effectively, also safely. Shiva, next. So already I have asked this question, and for all of you from Catholic hospitals today, like 98% of institutions in the country now, you do not have it, and we must procure it because you shouldn't deny my right to be paid. Okay, so let us start with that statement. We accept that responsibility to make it available. We'll later on talk about what are the possible barriers. Next, please. Mary, Mary, you have the only one person who have access to morphine. Do you have it through an ND3 license, or do you have a certificate of residence of a recognized medical institution?
We have a recognized medical institution.
So
I can.
Mary belongs to Delhi.
Plus, I can also fill up the DD.
Sorry, what do you fill up?
I can also fill up the DD12 form and give it to the patient. Also, they can take it to the hospital pharmacy and they can get the medicine. The recognized medical institute.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe I will not go to the DD12 thing now because that will be, most of the country does not have the medicine sold through a pharmacy. So we'll talk. Mary says her institution is a recognized medical institution, which is what we all should try to be. Next, please. So I understand that of the participants at the course, nobody. Mary, are you a guest or are you an official participant at this course? I don't know. You are a guest, right?
I'm a guest.
You're part of Palliative, as a part of Palliative, yes. But for all the other participants, it is now necessary to get that status. We must get the status of a recognized medical institution or RMI so that we can stock and dispense what the government calls essential narcotic drugs. Sorry, what is the question? Does anybody other than Mary want to say what so-called essential narcotic drugs are? That's not a scientific term, that's a legal term from the government. Of the medicines that we currently use in Trivandrum, the three medicines that come under that class are one, morphine, any formulation, injection, tablet, syrup, morphine, methadone, and fentanyl. Next slide, please. So, to start, I mean, this is not clinical medicine, you may think, but without this basic understanding, we cannot make a change in our hospitals. The Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act of India, which was framed in 1985, was changed by the Parliament in 2014. So we now have an amended act. Indian Parliament changed it after 19 years of collective effort of the palliative care community of India. So till then, doctors and nurses, remember, every state had different rules. So the act is the law created by the Parliament. Based on that, the government creates rules. So till 2014, every state had its own rule. State formulate their own rules. But after this, that power to legislate was taken away from the state government to the central government, so that all states, the whole country, now have uniform rules. Got it? For whether you are in Assam or Jharkhand or Kerala, now the same rules apply. The rules came out in 2015. The law was passed in 2014. The relevant rules were published in 2015. Next, please. Next, please, Shiva. So, the old rules, according to the old rules, to keep morphine, you are one of the essential narcotic drugs, you needed several licenses. Possession license, import permit, so many. And multiple government departments were involved. Like we had to go to excise, we had to go to drug controller, very often we have to go to the director of health service, and there was complications different from state to state. So with the amendment of the law in 2014 and the change in the rules in 2015, for essential narcotic drugs, all states have the same rules, so that only one government agency is required. If you need to procure the medicine, your hospital has to apply only to the drugs control of the state. The drugs control of the state gives you the certificate of recognized medical institution, and thereafter you can procure the drug and use it. As simple as that. But where is the catch? Yes, India being India, though the rules were published in 2015, majority of states are not following it. The law is there, the rule is sitting there, people continue to do it in the complicated. So this is where we come in. I request all participants of this course to make sure that we do not follow the old complicated rules, that we apply to the drug controller for the status of the recognized medical institution. And if they raise objections, we give them the clarifications. So, Rajalakshmi, who is going to handle our ECHO program hereafter, also should Rajalakshmi, you also need to make sure that we will follow up with everybody in the group, that we hold their hands and help them to get the status of recognized medical institution. So the one class is pointless unless we reach our objective. Our objective, I don't know what time frame is likely, let us say 6 months, 3 months, 6 months, to make sure that every participant in this course applies for recognized medical institution status, goes through the process, identifies the barriers that happen to access to getting it. It could be your hospital superintendent, it could be your pharmacist who objects, it could be the drugs controller, somebody saying you get the certificate from excise. So at every step, we will work with you. The TIPSECO team is going to be your partner hereafter in making sure that you overcome the barriers which are inevitable. Don't expect it to be a smooth ride. Any change is resisted, and therefore it will need an effort to make sure that some change happens. Not only because my throat is bad, but also because I want to get your reactions. I am going to pause and get your questions.
Dr. Murli?
Yes. Sir said TIPSECO will support us to procure the medicine, narcotic drugs for our needy patients. So, what are the steps we have to do from our parts to get that medication?
Okay. Okay, I'm going to explain that presently. And then Sheba and Rajalakshmi are also going to share with you several documents, including the application forms, what the forms you have to fill up and give the drugs controller, and also how you have to keep the documentation, how the
Yes.
be kept, etc.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other question? Shiba, by the time the session is over, just to show them a sample, can you get the opioid register across? You can ask somebody to bring pharmacy, you get to get it from the pharmacy. Next one, please. Next. No other question? If there is no other question,
And
no,
next question is, you said whether you are in Uttarakhand or Chhattisgarh or Kerala, the same rules apply to all the states. And from where we have to get the medications, from Kerala or the working place of our own?
Many states have manufacturing units. Every state doesn't. Say, for example, Kerala has one manufacturer of morphine. Gujarat has one.
Okay.
Himachal Pradesh has one.
Yes.
Mumbai, Mumbai manufacturer stopped. So I have a list which I'll share with you. 7 or 8 manufacturers are there. So you will have to place an order with them and procure the medicine.
It's free of cost?
No, unfortunately, most things in the world come at a price. But let me give you the good news. Morphine is one of the cheapest medicines available.
Okay, sir.
Tell me the name of an inexpensive medicine, something that you know. What is cheap?
Paracetamol is very cheap.
Okay. Congratulations. Morphine is cheaper than paracetamol.
Thank you, sir.
10 milligram tablets of morphine in Kerala is cheaper. But many manufacturers sell it for about 6 times the cost. This is where Dhanalakshmi, Shiba,
Yes.
Jill, and I, we are all going to work with you. We are going to introduce you to manufacturers who will give it to your institution at a significantly subsidized cost. So there is a cost. The cost is not only that of morphine. The cost is also the laxative that you will have to give every day. Bisacodyl. That's
Sir,
not
for me, another question. I am working in the government setup,
yes.
so I cannot have personal purchase and give it to the patients in the government hospital. For that, I need the dean's or the medical superintendent's permission.
Sister, which state is this?
This is Chhattisgarh.
Chhattisgarh. So Chhattisgarh naturally, sister, the process become in a way is simpler. Legally, the process is simpler for state government, a government
Okay.
hospital. Practically, it is very difficult for government hospitals.
Yes.
So you go to the superintendent, hey, sister, all this is trouble, it's nuisance. Don't start problems.
No. First, I have to go to the HOD, head of the department, then the medical superintendent,
So,
then to the dean. Okay.
so, sister, are you good at chamchagiri?
I'm not so good.
So I think we must plan a echo session on chamchagiri because that will be essential, sister. Because unless you are in a position where unless Chhattisgarh doesn't sell it through pharmacies, so unless
Yes.
your bosses accept it, it is going to be tough. But we have done this in several states, so we'll continue to work with you on this. Okay.
Okay, sir.
But understandably, because of the local hospital objections, the process will be more difficult for you. But also remember, in legally, the process is so much simpler for government institutions.
Mm.
So when we approach your hospital authority, maybe what you see on this slide is a good argument, but maybe they don't care. But if they care, the new law in 2014 says that the purpose of the law is not only to prevent abuse, but also to ensure their medical and scientific use. NDPS Act of India now accepts the responsibility to ensure availability of opioids for medical and scientific use. Next, please. Next slide. Ah. And as I said, this amendment brings in the term essential narcotic. Just by way of clarification, narcotic drug is not a scientifically correct word. Narcosis is something that induces sleep. These medicines have a side effect of sleep inducing, but essentially they are not medically narcotics. But this is the legal term, we'll have to go by that. So as I said earlier, currently the relevant INDs, END, essential narcotic drugs are morphine, methadone, and fentanyl. Next, please. And as I said, the amendment has transferred the powers of making rules to state government. So if you go to the drug controller, they say, no, 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 our rules are different. Actually, they say that because they don't know. Our rules are not different. Any state now has obliged to follow the rules, but many state or government officials do not know it. So we may have to work with them to make sure that what's happening. Next, please. One of the problems, I think all the participants should mute their Microphone for the time being. There's a lot of background noise. Who is not muted? Everybody who is not muted, please mute it till you are offering a comment. Uh, One of the problems that you will find when you approach your hospital authority or government officials will be people will say, yes, morphine, yeah, but no, we don't want it. It'll cause addiction. That's a problem. And sensitivities are very high in the border states of India. Say in Assam, Manipur, states like that, and also Punjab, and also in the poppy growing states. Hey, everybody understands what poppy is? Yes, poppy is the plant which is cultivated in UP, MP, and Rajasthan, out of which opium and out of which morphine is made. And in these states, again, there is significant diversion from the farms, so sensitivities are high. I want you all to understand the difference between physical dependence and addiction. If you are taking morphine for more or opioids for more than a few weeks, typically 3 weeks, but not necessarily, you then stop it. You may get withdrawal symptoms, what you see on the first panel. Energy may be low, sleep, you may be sleepy. You may actually get some signs which are of all common with opioid toxicity, like disorientation, delirium, even myoclonus. And if you have somebody has been on morphine for a long time and then they stop it, they'll get overactivity of the intestinal muscles. They may get muscle cramps and diarrhea. And this is easily managed by slow withdrawal of opioids. Whereas addiction is different. In addiction, there is craving for the substance so that no one will be happy with the same dose indefinitely. People will want to take more and more and more. And they will increase their dose without your permission because they cannot control their behavior. They will lose control over themselves. And then they will do anything to procure that medicine. They'll be willing to kill you to get the medicine. Now, this is not very common with oral morphine. It is possible that somebody who is already addicted may divert your morphine and use it for in the streets. But in cancer, causing addiction is not a serious practical possibility, particularly because the duration of pain in cancer is limited in time. Either the patient gets cured or the patient dies. So I'll come back to this if you have questions about this, or I may take the questions right now. So can you unmute your microphone if you have a question, if any point of this is not clear to you? If there is no question, shall I go on? Next slide, please. And I want to share this experience from Kerala, where we followed up. This was a long back, 2000 to 2001. 1999 and 2000, we followed up every patient who received morphine from us for use at home. And we made sure that it was all documented. we found that in not even one case there was any evidence of diversion to another channel, and nobody got addicted, nobody had unsanctioned dose escalations. Major discrepancies, minor things were there. Like you check the stock, you find that 5 tablets are missing. Those things are natural. Sometimes a patient may increase the dose once without your permission. Doesn't matter, you find out. But that is not a pattern. So we could use it without significant misuse or diversion. And that I'm saying to reassure you that from practical experience, over 24 years of use, we haven't even had one major calamity. Having said that, I know that in states with high chance of the risk, particularly injection morphine, may be looted if you are keeping it in an unsafe place. Say if you are keeping it in an almara with glass door, if you are keeping it in a room that is not locked, Rajasthan, Punjab, in Mizoram has a lot of addiction. In places that like that, there may be a greater tendency to steal it or abuse it. So we need to be careful. Next, please. So this is what we need to. We need to get the NDPS amendment implemented in those states which are not following it. But for tomorrow, you, I hope, will also teach this to your students, people who are coming to you as trainees. And I hope someday every state will have a palliative care policy so that you don't have to struggle for this. Now, how do you get the status of recognized medical institution? Rajalakshmi and Shiva will share with you the relevant forms. It's not complicated, which need to be filled up and sent to the drugs controller. Now, more than the science. 1 second, can you excuse me for a second? Sorry, thank you for waiting. So, the forms will be given to you. We will help you to fill them up. We will work with you. And for when you approach your head of institution, they may have concerns. I told you about the difference between dependence and addiction. I told you about several potential arguments. I told you all that so that you can give the explanations to your hospital authorities. Rajalakshmi, please make a note of it. We may try to get uh, I'll talk to the Director General of CHAI to see if it is feasible to send a circular instruction to all hospitals about the importance of this. Rajalakshmi, you and I will have to work together at this. I'll be meeting with the Director General of CHAI in the middle of December So if we send a message now, we may be able to follow it up at that time. But when every objection comes in, who are the people who are likely to have the objection? The head of the institution. Hey, you are head of department, head of the institution, the pharmacist. They may also raise objections. So you will have to note down what the objections are, and then we will have to work together to overcome the problems. But you must also learn how to keep the register, because you will have to teach the pharmacist or whoever is keeping it. In some cases, you may keep it in your own department, or the pharmacy may keep it, that's okay. But all of us, every one of us, will have to take the responsibility to make sure that whoever is doing it, whether the pharmacist or somebody, is doing it properly. That is a responsibility that we must accept. One more practical instruction: you must tell the hospital or your institution to send the application by registered post to the drugs control. Because if somebody goes and hands it over personally, they will accept it, and then later they will say, no, we can't find it. Also, we need the proof. They are supposed to give you a permission or a refusal within 2 months legally. So if we go back to them without that information ready, the evidence, we cannot move forward. So prepare the forms, talk to the hierarchy, head the department, head of institution, pharmacy, talk to the pharmacist, get them to understand it, because if they keep raising objections, things will be difficult. Rajalakshmi, we may even, if many people want it, we may even do a session for their pharmacists with the doctor and the pharmacist together. I'll be happy to do it if necessary. And then there is a form in which you have to submit an order. We'll work with you to get you a good price from the manufacturer, but there will be a cost. That is true. Questions? So I'm stopping there and taking your questions now. Please, those who have questions, raise your arms, and Rajalakshmi or Sheba will unmute you, and then we can discuss this. Sheba, is there a case presentation today?
No, sir.
Okay, so we have the time.
Dr. Lisa.
I would like to know what are the norms to be followed in order to give the medicine also, no?
Yes. So, doctor, the law does not say for what duration of time you can prescribe the medicine. There is no restriction on that. So, what we usually practice it, we use it for giving for a period of 2 weeks. But if the patient is coming from very far away, we may dispense it up to a month. More than that, we do not give. Ordinarily, that's one thing. Secondly, we do give it to the family member if the patient cannot come. But we'll ask a few questions to make sure that it is really the patient's family and it is reaching the patient. That is something that we generally can do it without difficulty. So, suppose you have decided to put the patient on 10 milligrams 4 hourly. That will mean 6 tablets of 10 milligram every day. That will also mean for 2 weeks, it will be 90 tablets. But they can also take SOS doses. Suppose the pain increases, they will need a few tablets more. So in that case, we may give 100. And if they need, if there's a problem, they come back to us. And all that is entered in the register. Sheba will show you the register. Also will send to you the form by email so that you can all see it. Now, only additional point is, actually there is a provision. There is nothing saying that there it is not specifically about giving to patients, but it is legally correct to send the medicine by registered post. We don't ordinarily do it, but a couple of years back we had a child coming from the neighboring states, from a place where there was Tirunelveli, where there was no palliative care at all. This child needed morphine, and for the father to leave the child and come was very difficult. So we used to talk on the phone, and I actually sent the morphine to him by registered post. That is legally acceptable, but practically we have to make sure. Ordinarily, we see that either a patient or a family member comes personally.
How will we ensure that the confidentiality of this medicine, that the patient only will take, nobody will take?
Okay, the important question. Thank you for asking that. First, you must know that it is not a pleasant medicine to take. If somebody takes an injection, it gives you a high. It causes euphoria. Oral morphine does not cause euphoria. Actually, I had a patient who was on oral morphine, and it was miracle for him. He had such excellent improvement that one day when his wife had headache, he said, "Take a tablet. Take my tablet." She took the tablet and felt sleepy, then tried to walk to the kitchen and actually fainted and fell down. So it is not a drug that somebody will happily take unless the person is already an addict. If somebody who is already an addict finds it, there is a risk. So how do you cope with that? For one thing, enough information will have to be given to the patient. I mean, there is a set of instructions which we can share with you. This medicine is not available for purchase outside the institution. Only in very few states there are licensed pharmacies where morphine is sold. Delhi is one, Gujarat is one. In the majority of states, you cannot buy it from pharmacies. So please tell them, you will have to come back to us with the when the person comes back. You will have to tell us how many you are taking, etc., etc. So generally, doctor, imagine what happens. The person comes back to you. You have given 100 tablets for 2 weeks. The person is coming back to you after a week and saying it's all gone. Uh, then you suspect that the pain may have worsened. So you will ask a few questions. What happened? Why did you need more? And they may say, I was okay till Wednesday. Then they started swelling up and my pain became worse. And there may be a real reason why the pain went up. Or the person may say, doctor, what actually happened was I was sitting in the porch and a crow came and snatched the parcel away from me. Typically, the person with a serious addiction usually is unable to give rational explanations. They very often tell lies which cannot be believed. But remember that this is very, very, very rare. Our usual questions: how many tablets do you take? How many were you given? How many have you left? These are enough to let us know that it is okay. I realize that we cannot always reach the patient and do a pill count, but whenever possible, ask the patient's family member, hey, whatever tablet is left over, bring it to us. That is also something that many people do, a pill count. Any other question? Or have I answered your question completely? Mary, did you wish to say something? No, okay. We still have a few minutes more for questions. Okay, so tell me, what all are we all going to do? Shiba and Rajalakshmi, what are we going to do from our end? You are going to share the forms, both the forms for application to the for RMI status, as well as the forms by which you order. You are going to share the register. For the time being, do you want to show in front of the computer the register that you are keeping in front of you? No, closer, close to the camera, please. That is not visible. Oh, no, no, not visible. No, are you there? Shiba, I fear that's not visible.
Sir, tomorrow I will share with
Okay.
this form.
So, between Rajalakshmi and Shiva, they are going to share all these forms, the nature of the register. And then when you try to fill up the forms, that there are two forms that you need to submit to the drugs controller along with a sample covering letter. Shiva, you will be sending the sample covering letter also?
Yes.
Okay. So those will come to you. Try to fill them up. You will have some doubts and get back to us. This session doesn't finish today. This session continues in personal interaction with you to make sure that you are able to apply for the oral morphine. So that is one thing. I will prepare a draft letter, share it with Chai, and to see if Chai is ready to send it to individual hospitals where you all have got trained. And what all are you going to do? You're going to fill up the forms, come back to us for help if you are not sure. Then when you need any assistance from the pharmacy, hospital authorities, drugs controller, totally in confidence, Rajalakshmi and Shiva and I accept to keep it all confidential. So that there are no problems. I mean, nobody later goes back to you and says, "Hey, why did you tell them all this?" This will be confidential. Our aim is to get morphine across to people in pain.
System level.
Thing to ask, sir.
Yes.
So suppose a private hospital which is they are not interested to take care of the patient as such, and if they are willing to keep the drugs with them and dispense to the doctor who is interested, who is not practicing in that private hospital but he is practicing somewhere else, can we have that kind of arrangement for the morphine?
No. A private hospital will have to
Like
register.
I can be more clearer too, because we have a hospital run by the diocese and it's our own hospital, we can say. But we both the sisters are working in the government medical setup, so that if our diocesan hospital is ready to, the director is agreed to keep the drugs, and we can take the drugs from them for our patient. Is it possible?
There are two ways in which it can be done. One, some doctor in the hospital
Okay.
will have to go through a basic training. If the hospital is to get the status for recognized medical institution,
It's a part of Chai hospital. Chai is
that's not enough.
organization.
That's not enough.
Okay.
One doctor in that institution, not somewhere else, in that institution, will have to get trained in pain management. That can be a short course, You can do this kind of course, whatever that is. And they will have to take the responsibility. You may send the patient or the records. They will have to register that patient as their patient and dispense,
Okay.
not otherwise. The only other possibility, so who is speaking? Which state are you talking about?
Chhattisgarh.
Chhattisgarh. Okay, I don't know exactly whether any pharmacy is given license. It's unlikely. The other
Okay.
possibility for the drug controller is to permit the sale of morphine in any one pharmacy in a city, so that you can write a double prescription and the pharmacy can sell it to patients. But there are several problems. The pharmacy may not want to do it at all. A lot of hassle. They let do all the bookkeeping. So that doesn't usually happen effectively. So if your institution, the government institution is not willing to take on that responsibility, unless we work its own hospital in your city. Which city are you from? Where do you, a city or
It's a
village?
town. It's a township, Jagdalpur, Bastar.
Okay, unless one hospital is willing to accept that responsibility and become an RMI, it is difficult. Because once they become an RMI, you may write the prescription. We do that sometimes. We can, the hospital can register that patient technically, only technically, and issue the morphine. But without a doctor with training taking responsibility, I feel it is not possible.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Any other question? Sunil, I saw Sunil there. Sunil, do you have a comment? So Rajalakshmi and Shiva, a lot of follow-up work on this from our side. So ask me when you need help, and let us make sure that as many of the participants as possible get access to opioids. Over to you, Shiba, for concluding remarks and closure.
Sir,
There are some chat questions. One
Yes.
chat question actually. Is it only an institution with a registered pharmacy can procure the drugs?
No, it has to be an institution, but a registered pharmacy is not necessary, because by an order from the Drugs Control Journal of India many years back, palliative care centers are exempted from the need to have a qualified pharmacist. So if it is a small clinic, for example, the doctor has to take the responsibility, and between a doctor nurse team, you can stock and dispense morphine. Next question.
Dr. Liza.
Can my pharmacist dispense that medicine in my absence? Suppose a patient is being followed by me and I am not there and that patient comes for medicine, pharmacist can give?
You can authorize the pharmacist to do that, but remember that you also are taking a responsibility. Okay, we do it all the time, sister, doctor. In our institution, I am the doctor in charge. Every doctor prescribes it, the pharmacist dispenses it. I am not going to personally check each and every one, but I check the register periodically. And I make sure that the whole team understands this. So, uh, it's still your responsibility, but you will have to authorize the pharmacist or somebody to do it. You can't personally dispense morphine to everybody.
Sir, is there any registration fee for RMI?
The only thing is the approval of the drugs controller. It is just a sheet of paper. The drugs controller just sends you a letter saying you are hereby approved as a recognized medical institution. Bas, ho gaya kaam.
So no registration fee is involved.
Okay. Now the drugs controller, no registration fee, but in Kerala there was something like people were asked to send a envelope with 27 rupees stamp for a registered letter, etc. That's also not being followed. There's no registration fee.
Sir, any renewal?
Ordinarily, the RMI status is valid for 3 years.
3 years.
But every year, on the prescribed day, your letter of approval as RMI will mention that every year you will have to send the statistics for the year, how much you consume. But the one approval will be for a period of 3 years. At the end of 3 years, you will have to apply for renewal.
So there is another chat question. Do we get a certificate or number from TRIPS ECHO, which we will have to use for registration of RMI?
Okay, I mean, when Shiva sends you the forms, you will see that you will have to submit several documents. Along with the 2 forms that you fill up, you will have to give your certificate of qualifying examination, MBBS, your registration in the medical council, your certificate of training in pain management, this ECHO certificate. What else? Some drug controllers not necessarily ask. They want to make sure that your institution really exists. So if some proof that your hospital does exist, that can be a registration with the state government, it can be a trust deed of a trust hospital, some evidence of actual functioning in the hospital. That is, they may ask for something like that. But certainly your degree, registration certificate, certificate of training in pain management, these will be necessary.
Is there any more questions?
Okay. Okay, doctors and others, thank you very much.
I request all others to stay back for 10 minutes. Sir, you can leave.
No, that is, I mean, like very politely, I have been asked to get out of this. Thank you very much.
So, we conducted a pre-test long back. I hope all of you remember that. And during our post-test, we had some problem with net and things like that. So we would like to do that post-test now. So I request all of you to please go through the post-test. We will be launching the questions from here, and all of you please click the right answers, and after doing the 10 questions, please click the submit button. Just a minute. Can all of you see the questions? Anybody can't see?
Sharing of page.
Can you see now? Okay. So please start doing. Jawan can't see. If you are using mobile, it will be on another window, I think. All others can see. Dr. Sajida also unable to see. Just a minute, all others continue. Those who are able to see. Jawan and Dr. Sajida, they can't see. Jawan, here. Dr. Jawan can see now. If you are doing it now, isn't it? So, Vishnu, is it shared? Sure. Dr. Anika unmuted. So some of you please speak. Are you able to do?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not able to see.
Dr. Sajida is unable to see. Are you using mobile?
Yes, I'm using mobile.
You have to change it to another window. So just slide the window which is present, and you will get the question in another window. Anybody who finished all the questions and submitted?
Yes.
Yes.
Dr. Regina, but we didn't get any
You can
response.
provide a
I I completed and submitted.
I think there is some problem. We should just log once more.
Submit കൊടുത്തിട്ടില്ല sir. Submit കൊടുക്കാൻ sir. Submit കൊടുക്കാൻ.
Ah,
I had submitted also,
have-
Jacqueline.
okay, but
Sutifa also submitted.
Submit button press ചെയ്യരുത്.
I also have submitted.
Sutifa also.
actually you have to see that. There is nothing is coming. So all of you, please stop. I don't think this is working now. Vishnu, can you do it once more? I'm sorry. Very sorry.
Sir. That's right.
Can you do it once more now?
Yes.
Please do it once more.
Once more.
Please submit കൊടുക്കണം. ചുമ്മാ just answer കൊടുത്തിട്ട് submit കൊടുക്കണം.
Patients വാർത്ത തന്നെ.
കാണിക്കുന്നില്ലല്ലേ?
Hello?
I'm sorry, this is not working. We have tried and see that it is not working. So we will be sending this multiple choice question to you. Please answer it and send it back to us.
Okay,
And,
thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
I had finished.
What are the marks?
You also finished. First finished.
No, 10 no, 10 no, no. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
ഒന്നും ചെയ്തില്ല അതൊരു ആൻസർ എടുത്തിട്ടായിരുന്നു.